Hello! Today, me and Kat are reviewing the top 5 episodes of Season 3 of the classic Twilight Zone. And the first one on this list, the most iconic, I would argue, of the entire season, possibly of the entire franchise, is It's a Good Life. With the kid that happened to be omnipotent and how that is such a horrible idea. This has so many references. I mean, it gets put in the movie, of course, in the 80s. It also gets put in The Simpsons, in a Treehouse of Terror sort of Twilight tribute. And you can see it a bit here and there. And Bill Mumy, of course, is in it, and he does that great, of course. I mean, it's Bill Mumy. He did a fantastic job when he was a kid, and kept on doing a great thing. So I think it's a worthy start off of our top 5. I'm not actually sure we're going to be able to top it during this season, but there are some strong contenders. But we're going to start off with It's a Good Life because it's just sort of the way to start off this season. The next episode is Still Valley, and it's because it features one of my favorite special effects in the Twilight Zone production, and that's people standing still. It's incredibly difficult to do, and to do it well, but they do a really good effort, combining it with some occultism and the fact that even in the face of certain victory, these men are not willing to compromise their integrity and actually make a deal, right? So it's a pretty strong episode, I think. Next on our list is The Hunt, which is also about the afterlife. That's a recurring theme in the Twilight Zone. There's a few of these, the soldiers walking on the road, and there's, a nice place to visit, of course. But The Hunt has a special place in my heart because it does show sort of, well, first of all, it has this, him not realizing that he's dead. And, walking around and working, piecing it all together. I like that. It's very quick in this episode. But I like that aspect of it. You also get to see him while he's still alive and what he does and what kind of a person he is. And I really like that character. But then there's sort of, the limbo state, if you want to call it that, has this quality to it that I really do enjoy. The fake St. Peter and the real St. Peter, of course, and the whole sort of setup with the dog not wanting to, and that he has to stick with it by his principles and all that sort of stuff. It's an impactful episode, I find, and one that gets sadly overlooked because it doesn't have any grand special effects, doesn't have a big, twist reveal or anything like that, and it might be a bit outmoded now. But I do enjoy it a lot. Cat stepped on the tripod. This cat. But it is one of my favorite episodes. So that's why it's on this list, and it's my list, so I get to put what I want on it. And this one is definitely on it. To Serve Man is up next. Also very sort of classic Twilight Zone episode, with another very iconic ending. I mean, it isn't really, Soylent Green is people, but it is very close. And, hi cat. And it is very enjoyable. It has some of the very sort of classic Twilight Zone bits with the aliens, and you have ships and all that sort of stuff, but it also does tell an interesting story under all of that, which makes it very, just a lovely episode overall. And of course, having Richard Kiel in it, it's grand. I like seeing him on here. I think a lot of people got introduced to this episode, or at least to the thought of it, by watching the Simpson episode. They hadn't seen the original Twilight Zone, and then if they happen to catch up on it later on, they go, ooh. I know that someone I mentioned this to had done exactly that. They'd seen the Twilight Zone episode, and then when they got shown the Twilight Zone episode, they go, oh, I know that. They copied that from The Simpsons. Oh, wait, it has to be the other way around. So it's a very influential episode, but it's also a very good one. So that definitely makes it part of this top. Our fourth spot on this season is Little Girl Lost, which is a memorable episode for a few different reasons. First of all, of course, everyone has a theoretical physicist that they can just call on in case your kid gets sucked up into an extra-dimensional vortex or something. And I just misplaced the number for mine. Anyway, it gets referenced in The Simpsons, and it has a sort of wider cultural impact overall. It's absolutely going to be one of the inspirations for the Poltergeist movie. But it also has some merits of its own, like the goodness of the dog, being able to sniff this little girl out and find her even if she is literally out of space. And also the production decisions that went into how to visualize the fourth dimension, that they made it this sort of psychedelic quality, and they have these, they make a set to represent this otherworldly place, and how that all sort of comes about. It does add a lot to that episode, and I really enjoy it being represented the way it is. And therefore it has definitely earned its spot on this list. Last for the season is Person or Persons Unknown. Someone mentioned this about, and when the sky was opened, how this was an example of the Mandela effect. I don't quite agree, because there are people who are sharing this differently. This episode is definitely an example of the Mandela effect, where you are convinced that the world is one way and everyone else is not. However, in this case, it's a very real change, and we do get to see it, and we get a lovely Twilight Zone twist at the end. But the episode is very terrifying, and I think it mirrors a bit more of the 80s vibe of this show, where it's more of a personal terror thing. We're going to talk about that more when we get to the aphasia episode. But the whole idea about the world forgetting things that you know is gripping, and it's compelling, and it's terrifying. And that's why it gets to be number 5 on this list. See you for the breakdown of season 4. Take care. Bye.